r/ask Reddit. What was a loophole that you found and exploited the hell out of? Back in college we found a loophole with coupons at Kroger for General Mills cereal. If you bought 4 boxes of cereal, each box was $1. But if you did the self-checkout, you would be printed out a coupon for $4 off your next purchase. We used the loophole to buy about 300 boxes of cereal. We only spent $12 on all of it. We would have spent less, but we had to go to another Kroger once the manager got wind of us. We kept around 20 boxes for ourselves and donated the rest to the local food bank. They were so excited when we showed up with 3 vehicles full of cereal. Totally worth the $12 and all the time it took. I think you Robin Hooded Kroger. I worked in a call center during college. Our main performance measure was the number of donations solicited per contact. If the person didn't answer or hung up immediately, it didn't count against you. I discovered a bug where, if I blew into the microphone just as the phone started to ring, it would register in the computer system as a no answer and dial the next number. I rode this out for several months before I got tired of blowing my microphone for 8 hours a day and quit. Building on that, we had a person working in tech support where I used to work a long time ago. There was an employee who was low on his call numbers, so management did some research. They found that he never took any inbound calls, so they started looking at call histories and found that his outbound calls were only 5-10 seconds long. So, they started listening in on his calls. They found that he was having entire hour-long conversations about fixing various computer and internet related things with nobody. He'd make the outbound call, then hang up, and then pretend to be talking to the customer. Honestly, it sounds like more work than actually just doing work. There is something to be said for not dealing with the public. Bought a shitty Sega Genesis game. I think it was some flight sim, which was the crappiest game I ever played. So I took it back to Kmart and got told no refunds for opened games. Replacement for the same one if broken. Annoyed that I couldn't get my money back, I said it was broken and went for the replacement. They handed me a new copy of the game and my original receipt. Left and came back an hour later. I want a refund for this game. Here is my receipt and an opened game. Got my money back. Went and bought a different shit Genesis game. At my old job, when people returned DVDs and CDs for a new one, we opened the package so this couldn't be done. Manager said it was to deter people from copying movies and returning them. With your new one opened, it still can't be exchanged. To clarify, you can only return an opened CD or DVD and get the same title in return. Also opened, no movie or game switching at all. It's to prevent copying. Unopened, returned DVDs can get a complete refund. Edit 2. It's more complicated than buying a laminator/shrink wrap machine to get around this. There are stickers along the sides of CDs and DVDs. Those would have to be intact to return it. In elementary school we had the accelerated reading (AR) program. You would read a book, take a test on the computer, and be awarded points based on how well you did. At the end of the year you could buy things at the bookstore with the points you accumulated. I had just finished reading Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and got a perfect score on the test. The computer was only supposed to allow you to take the test once, but I figured out you could take that specific Harry Potter book unlimited times. I racked up so many points and was never found out. Edit. Apparently a lot of people had an AR point scam. Who would have thought Reddit users would compete for fake points? I just read choose your own adventure books and pick terrible options for Pizza Hut's Book It. A friend of mine got an article written up about him regarding how many ducking choose your own adventure books he had read. Him and his dad took a road trip after his mom died and that was all he did. This was elementary school, for the record. I was once the only person to show up to a Microsoft CRM event. Since I was the only person to attend, I automatically won the door prize of a Xbox 360 with a Kinect. The downside of this loophole was 3 long hours of talking with Ms. Product evangelists who were very disheartened and desperate to make a sale. Happy Coke Day. Hope you win another Xbox. WTFOP? Last summer, I went up to northern Michigan with a buddy of mine. He's got a nice summer cabin in a small town called Escoda. It's a nice little place, with beautiful lake beaches and other fun outdoorsy stuff if that's your thing. But there's not an awful lot to do up there otherwise. We walked from his cabin into the town and walked into a closing Kmart. I walked over to the electronics aisle, hoping to find some bargains on video games. Unfortunately, they only had one shitty game, Putty Squad for PS4, and they had an awful lot of copies. I checked the price. They were on clearance for $14, but were marked at an additional 90% off, bringing the price down to a measly $1.40 each. I did the sensible thing that anyone else would have done and bought 20 copies, even though I had no interest in ever playing any of them, nor did I own a PS4. Receipt for proof. After a weird look from the cashier, he removed the security labels from the games and sent me on my merry way with a bag full of sealed games I spent under $30 for. I brought them home with me and traded them into GameStop one by one every time I went, getting approximately $7 per copy in store credit. I traded in such a high volume of copies, I was banned from trading in games to GameStop. Fortunately, it's a system-issued temporary ban to prevent people from loading off stolen goods. I just traded in my last copy last weekend when they were doing a 50% bonus trade in credit promotion, and got $10 in store credit. I made something like $150 in store credit total off of $28 plus tax. And even though this pales in comparison to some of the other posts in this thread, I consider this a victory and it makes for a funny story to tell. Even though this pales in comparison, yeah, but you got pics of yours. What in the hell is GameStop going to do with 28 copies of Putty Squad? Poor GameStop. At my local movie theater, you could get a small drink for $2.50 or a large drink for $3.50, and large gets unlimited refills. Or you could get a subby tea for $2.50, but they didn't give you the subby bottle because they wanted to avoid any broken glass incidents. So they poured the subby into the large cup. Boom, unlimited large drink refills. I saved several dollars that way. Jesus, the large is huge. How do you finish it, let alone have to refill it? By sharing. Also, the large really is large. I'm genuinely concerned for the structural integrity of the cup. By accident I found a gumball machine. If you turned the dial really slow it would drop the gumball. Then you could dial it back just enough so the next gumball would drop into the tumbler bits. Then slowly dial forward again until it drops, etc. Got about 20 of them and stopped when I realized that I really didn't want to chew that much cheap gum. Reminds me of my brother and his friend who heard that if you pull a gumball machine off the rack it slides off the change compartment and opens it. So they go to the store and try it. Pulling the gumball machine does not do this. Instead, it opens the gumball compartment and spills all the gumballs on the tile floor. In the 80s, Chuck E. Cheese's didn't shred the tickets you get out of their games and used to buy toys, candy, etc. My friends and I were biking one day behind a strip mall practicing our wheelies and jumps. We saw a worker throwing a garbage bag of tickets into the dumpster behind Chuck E. Cheese. We grabbed it and then started circling back about once a week. Garbage bags and garbage bags full of tickets. We were doing so well. One of my friend's parents got in on it. She would take the minivan behind there and have her kids load up. And this is why tickets are now shredded. I think I still have a huge stockpile of frisbees and stuffed animals in my parents' attic somewhere. Back in the day at my local Charles Cheese, they weighed the tickets. So we would have like maybe 500 tickets and go to the bathroom and wet like 10-20 of them and it would add maybe an extra 100 tickets. Charles Cheese. When you get married to someone and treat them well, if you play your cards right you can get unlimited sex for life. Prostitutes hate him. Unlimited sex for life. Clearly, you are not married. My college didn't put any dates on our student IDs. No graduation year. No expiration date. Nothing. As a result, I kept using it to get student discounts for years after I graduated. Mostly the 15% off J. Crew discount. Penn State fixed that by making IDs fall apart after a year or two so they could charge you for a new one. I'm picturing a Mission Impossible style, self-destructing id. Awesome. Basically anyone auditing the books just sees another work line being used and probably doesn't cross-reference the line items to the employees. Good for you. Was in a trivia bowl type competition in college. As soon as the announcer began asking the question, you could buzz in and answer. If you got the question wrong, you lost no points and the question was skipped. My team answered the first question correctly and proceed to mash the buzzer for the rest of the round, effectively blocking out all the other questions. We won the round with a final score of 1 point. They changed the rules before the next round. Edit. Thanks for my first Reddit gold. It pays to exploit loopholes after all. LOL. You're the cause to the saying this is why we can't have nice things. I entered a you don't know jack competition once. Trivia video game. It started with about 40 players, but the finals wound up being me, a friend, and 2 randoms who happened to be friends. I started out in the lead and everybody was playing fairly, but the second one of the randoms took over. His buddy started mashing the buzzer just like you. In this game you lost points for wrong answers, but it didn't matter to him. The only prize was for first place. The winner ended up splitting it with his friend. I was pretty pissed. I hesitantly bought 3 Bitcoin just as they were going up, then sold one at their peak for the original cost of the 3. I've since spent my effectively free Bitcoin wealth on the only thing of value one can buy with Bitcoin, Reddit gold. At time of writing, I have gilded 266 posts. U/Irenoki has helped pay for 33 weeks of Reddit server time. Holy crap, you're not lying. Damn son, this blew up. Why would he be lying? You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies? When vending machines first started accepting credit cards, you could swipe your card, select a drink, and when the little drink pod starts moving to collect your drink, hit cancel. The cancel button would stop the card transaction but not the machine, so you could get free drinks. It was a sad day when it stopped working. Certain vending machines, the one that has a conveyor belt, if you stop it with your hand you can get like 4 drinks for the price of 1. What few of those are still around have had their firmware flashed so that the whole machine shuts down if you try that. Back when Hollywood Video was around, they would guarantee new releases to be in stock. If they rented out all of their copies in the store, then they would give you a voucher for a free rental. I was in college at the time and would go into the store near my college campus at around 10 PM on a Friday night. There was simply no way for them to have any copies left by that time, so I would collect whichever vouchers were available. Rinse, repeat, cheaper than Redbox. In a similar vein, a Blockbuster Video near my house had a giant gumball machine near the cash that had special gumball-sized plastic orbs that instead had a free movie game rental. So for 25 cents, you had the chance to win a $4.99 rental. Well, this was around for my entire childhood till one day I walked past the machine and noticed it was almost empty, and it looked like the remaining ratio of gumballs to free passes was like 3:1. When they first filled the machine years ago, apparently the employees just tossed all the passes on top and barely mixed it up. I came back with a stack of quarters and for $10 I got like 17 free rentals and 23 gumballs. The rentals lasted a few months. The gumballs lasted a few days. My son attends speech and occupational therapy every week. Usually it is a $35 copay for each therapy, but if I do them on the same day I only have to pay the copay once. Saves me about $140 a month. Edited to clarify, since it came across like my child was a therapist. Awesome loophole. Hope your son improves his speech and motor skills. There was a Papa John's coupon for 50% off if the official PJ Twitter retweeted you. I found the code looking through their website. I got half off pizza for a year and a half. They also have if you enter 25 off in the promo code, you get 25% off. It still works after all these years. Edit. Guys, I'm just pointing off one less known offer, not claim it's the pinnacle of pizza deals. Types 100 off praise. Back in the day of flip phones. Can't do this anymore. I had a Razr which I ducking loved and learned that if I dipped the screen in water and put it in the freezer, freezing the water, the screen would stop working. But everything else continued to work fine. The sticker behind the battery was never touched and didn't change color. I would do this whenever my phone got scratched and then call up saying my screen stopped working. I would send it and they sent me a new one for free. Did it about 5 times. I discovered this because I left it out in the snow by accident once. It was awesome. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.